Hi everyone. So let's start with today's analysis. I think a very brutal day for the markets once again, and I think this brutalness is just continuing. It's just not stopping. Uh, Probably all the indices were in red today, and majorly the broader markets were in very severe pain. I mean, Nifty small cap at one point of time was 5% down. Mid cap was around 2% down, followed by 1.5% on Nifty. The only standout probably was a little bit on FMCG and Nifty Bank were around 0.5%, 0.6% down both the indexes. Apart from that, I think there was a pain in almost all the indexes. It was led by IT, and we'll come in detail why exactly IT fall today and what are its bigger applications. So today's video is very important, and it has some very important facts which can decide some future course of action for the our Indian markets as well. So let's start with the global markets. So first of all, SGS Nifty was showing negative because on Friday when we were closing, the futures of Dow and Nasdaq were probably a flat to let's say slightly negative, but on the contrary, we had a bad session on US markets on Friday, uh, around 0.5% to 0.75% down from on the US market indices. So that was showing some kind of a pain on the HSN Nifty in the morning, around 50-60 points. But the major pain started once we had the news from uh, Cambodia, where US market, let's say US President Mr. Trump announced for 25% sanctions. Now, how did this start? So, actually, if you remember, Mr. Trump has told that he wants to send all the illegal immigrants to the respective countries. So, this was the first aeroplane which was going to send the immigrants for Cambodia. Now, the problem is that these people who were being sent were handcuffed and they were tied with ropes and they were taken as criminals. And moreover, the plane which was chosen was a military aircraft. So Cambodia denied that we cannot allow any military aircraft to come into our land. Moreover, you should. This is not the way to bring our people back. We're ready to take our people back, but bring them in a dignified manner. So with this news, Trump became angry and he suddenly announced that 25% tariff is announced on the Cambodia's all imports. On a retaliation basis, again, Cambodia announced that we will also put a tariff of around 25%. So that's how it is. Actually, Cambodia is not a big trade with the US. It's only $40 million. Yeah. So that was not much of a trade. Dollar index closed on Friday 107.5. It was very less. It had a 0.5% down on Friday, which we thought could be a respite today. But with this news, the dollar index also started going up. We saw a mild, loosening up in the dollar index on Friday. Sorry, the bond yields on Friday because of the Japanese rise of interest rates of 0.25%, which was making the Japanese currency stronger. And then, since we all know that the dollar index actually combines is a combination of five currencies, which includes Japanese yen as well. So, since Japanese yen was getting strong, we saw that particular bond yields also going down because of that Japanese yen becoming stronger. But with this Cambodian thing, I think Cambodian president told US that we are ready to take our passengers. So I think the plane again re-landed into American soil, and a presidential plane was sent by Cambodia to take the people. So that is probably slightly sorted out issue, and it should not have a major impact. Anyways, that trade is only $40 billion. But then why were we showing on futures around 500 points down on Dow, around 700 points down on the Nasdaq? So I think very important development which has happened that has come from China. So China has developed a product called DeepSeek. This is the AI model that they have developed to counter America on their Chat GPT and other this AI related softwares. The advantage with this particular model is that it is very cheap. It is developed in one tenth the price, and the company it's just a startup. That company wants to launch that app in free, whereas ChatGPT and everybody were actually chargeable. If you go for advanced features, they're chargeable. And if you remember, a lot of investment has been done by American companies into AI. So if that kind of alternate make, which is only one tenth the price, and if it is launched free, is actually giving a huge challenge to American AI, and it is giving the challenge to their process, to their concept itself. So if you've done a huge investment, let's say media or other tech companies have done huge investments in AI, But if you are not able to take a return on your investment, that probably will sink in your company. It will defy your profits, and the larger PE and the larger hope that the stock markets have given to these kind of companies. That was a trade which was playing out in the entire day. It was not due to Cambodia. Many people thought that is because of sanctions of Cambodia. No, it was only a starting point. But the major push, or let's say the major reason for the downfall in today's American markets, in at least in the futures, is because of that deep sea thing. So once again, China has proved that they are very good in copying the things, and when they copy, they can do it at a very little price and probably at the same level of technology which anybody can bring in by spending a lot of money. So it has really set the game in a different way. So if you remember, I have always told that the America's GDP contribution is only 38% or 40% in the entire world GDP, but the stock market contribution is around 70-75%. So the overall world markets, if it is 100 rupees, 75 rupees comes from US stock markets, but the GDP contribution is only 37 rupees. It's a huge mismatch. We all know what Nasdaq has done in last year. It was a 40-50% rise in the Nasdaq index itself. The reason was with this magnificent seven companies, these tech dominated companies, which has taken the indexes forward. Now there's a huge challenge coming to it. So I don't think today there'll be a respite in the American markets. Probably the fall can be even bigger. We don't know if at all people feel or the company feels that China model may not be successful, it will not be able to deliver the goods, or probably they lack in some things. So I don't know the facts as of now. But if we go by exactly what the companies announced, and I've probably seen the videos of the AI models of DeepSeek. They look fabulous. They look magnificent. And it's just a startup company which has done it. So imagine if the Chinese power, like, Trump has announced that I want to spend $1 billion on AI, and I want three companies to put together. So that means it is top driven in US. If those kind of top driven approaches also come in China, and these kind of startups and other companies start getting money to develop more and more technology on this concept, US will be in deep trouble, not because of anything else, because they have invested a lot in this, and that would trigger a major fall in Nasdaq at least. May not be Dow to a certain extent because a lot of tech companies are not in Dow; these are old stocks. But in Nasdaq and S&P, you can see a big fall. So that was the reason. That is why Indian IT index also fall 3.5%. Now, will this happen? Will not happen? We have to wait and see. We have to see today's markets. But now what has happened because of that? So dollar index while we are closing again came down. It is now trading around 107.3. Bond yields, it is already showing down. It was around trading around 4.52. So again cooling off has happened. So now all these parameters which we are discussing in length number of times, they all are cooling down. और जो हम पहले भी बात कर रहे थे that there is some time when US markets will top out. Probably the time has come. US markets are looking like they're top out. Only news which is not in the price now is that corporate tax reduction which Trump will announce after taking approvals. If that happens, there might be rally in US. If you remove that factor, all the news are now in the prices of US markets, and they have not fallen. They've been resilient. They have been after 7th Jan or 6th Jan, uh, the indexes are up around 4 to 5%. S&P was trading all-time highs last week. It has done 2 consecutive days all-time highs. So probably US markets start topping out from there. Apart from these one or two news, which will be good for US markets, but we don't know when this news will come. China also, one more news came today. What happened is their PMI numbers came. It came below 50. That means the economy of China is still contracting. So you have issues in US now. You have issues in China, which is perpetual. It is not closing. It is not going down at all. From so many quarters we are seeing. Europe has its own set of problems. Japan also probably has its own sort of problem because of its high inflation and its 0% interest rate. Now it is 0.5% interest rate policy. But with the aging population, Japan has its own set of problems. India is still growing at 6.6%. Now rupee will start probably settling down at one point of time. Dollar index will start settling down. We have a lot of shorts in our system, and a budget is lined up. So again, which I've been discussing from last 1 or 2 days, all these things are piling up, and we might see a kind of a bomb blast into our markets very soon. What will the trigger? Trigger, of course, we're waiting for two triggers now. One is the budget, second is the RBI policy on 7th. And these two will set the path. And I'm 100% sure this time the budget will come good. This time you will see a good MPC policy as well. MPC policy, why it is important is because RBI governor has been targeting to reduce the credit growth. The credit growth was happening in the banks around 15 to 17%. He wanted to bring it around 10 to 11%, which is done now. We've seen the results of bank this time. They are in that range now, 11 to 12% credit growth. So what he wanted has been done. Unsecured loans, anyways, is seeing a problem. We have seen the results from AU Small Finance Bank. The provisioning has been increased to 0.8 crores plus. We saw the results from IDFC First Bank, again a pain. So RBL Bank also there was a pain. So all these banks who were high on the portfolio of unsecured loans, they are facing a huge problem. But on the opposite, we had very stable numbers from the big private sector banks, except for Axis Bank, which were mildly low because they have very high exposure in unsecured loans. But apart from that, ICICI Bank gave a good set of numbers. HDFC Bank was very steady. Even the asset quality was steady. Kotak gave a stupendous results also. And now with the results which are coming out from Bank of India, which came yesterday, we are also hoping that SBI will give a good set of numbers. If that happens, Bank Nifty का जो हम पहले ही बात कर रहे थे, probably it is very near to its bottom. It will start consolidating, and now probably the lead will be taken by banks only, because the best results have come from banks among all the sectors. If we see put together, and we'll do a separate video on the earnings of all the companies put together, all sectors put together. We're just putting some more results, but I'll just give one data on the earnings. As of now, on Nifty 500, around 130 companies have announced a result, and the profit growth, the earning growth has been around 10 to 12%, which is not bad at all. I know the stocks are reacting very badly, especially the mid cap stocks, but the market is punishing those stocks which are high P's and they're not delivering. Like today, what happened with CDSL? So we were talking about a story that a lot of demat accounts are opening, but the operational performance was bad. It was not up to the expectations, and the stock was punished. So high expectation stocks with high PE, if they're not delivering the result, they're getting punished brutally. But if low expectation stocks, if they're giving decent results or a good commentary, they are being rewarded. So we have reached that kind of a stage, and the earnings are not bad. So market is not anticipating those earnings. Market was anticipating that the earnings growth will be only 5 to 6%. Although only 120%, 120 companies are given the results, but if that trend continues, and if we see those kind of 10-15% increase of earnings, then our valuations will become, or it will look much more benign. With a 6.6% GDP growth, with dollar index coming down, and at least it is topping out at 110. Bond yields, if they start settling down, and even if you see the sanctions part of US, it will not happen so easily. So you see, one sanction was announced, immediately there was a talk, and it was resolved. Nobody wants sanctions. Even US don't want sanctions. So this sanction story, probably according to me, it's overplayed, and probably it will find its equilibrium very soon. Now we come to our markets. So our markets today were actually reacting on the global markets only. They were not reacting to earnings. Earnings were quite decent. At least the Nifty 50 companies' earnings, whatever came in the last weekend, were decent enough to give it a push. Today, that push could have happened if that DeepSeek news should not have come in, and the Cambodia news could have been averted. But things come as they come. Now, probably we are very close to those kind of bottoms, which is again the same level. So if you see in the last 3 months, I have discussed this multiple times. October low was around 23,350. Now we're at around 22,800. So around 2% down. November lows were around 100 points above. Let's say 23,350. We're around 3% down. December lows were again 250, 23,250. We're again only just 2% down. If we see January lows, so January lows, what we are going through is, it's just 1, 2, 2.5, 3% down. So market has not done anything for last 3-4 months. We have not gone to upper ranges. We are still hovering around the lower ranges. But if something comes good in the budget, if the economic survey comes good, if at all we see some good RBC policy as well, and considering the global scenario, things will look much better for India. India will look as a standout country for investment once again. We're just waiting for one news from US, which is that corporate tax news. If that also comes, and if it is in the price, then that will be the top level of US. US will top out kar jayega. This is what I assume. This is what will happen, and ultimately money will shift. If the bond yields also start coming down, if at all that also happens, if people believe sanctions is difficult, if people believe that growth rates will be much more slower for the companies, And with those kind of bond yields now, interest rates slightly still hovering around 4.25%, 4.3% in US. And if the economy starts slowing down, you will see again India becoming the center of attraction. When it will happen, we have to wait and see. It happens in February, it happens in March. We would probably wait and see and how things fold out. Probably are waiting for 1st February where Trump has told that I'll announce sanctions on Canada, Mexico, etc. We'll wait for that as well, and probably 10% on China. So we'll wait for that for 1st February, which is very near, or probably just on the day of the budget. But the sanctions game will not be easy. It looks easy, but it will not be easy. So considering again all these things, and our index is settling down. So today we have seen our IT index also giving a cut of 3.5%. So just one thing, be cautious, guys, on the IT stocks. So if you see the earnings of IT stocks, the earnings of IT stocks have been not much. They are given 10 to 12% profit growth, and the revenue growth, top line growth, has been in the constant currency terms only 1 to 2%, except for Infosys, which gave around 4.5%. Otherwise, things have been flat. Mid-cap companies have given you a constant currency growth of around 5 to 10%, depending on the different mid-cap companies. But the P's, let's say the valuations are very high for the IT companies, still very high. And if these kind of things happen, something like DeepSeek, which has happened, these things will hit the IT industry at a glance. But do not forget that a lot of business does not come from AI. What was happening in the last 2 or 3 quarters was a lot of clients were negotiating the deals and they were trying to bring in a lot of AI into their deals. Now these clients will again rethink. So there will be a bit of confusion in IT stocks. So I would suggest that slightly be away from IT stock as of now. Let it form. It's not only bottom. Bottom is not important. Important is let them form their business concept as of now. वो जो बिजनेस का एल्गोरिथम है ना वही हिला हुआ है. So let the IT thing settle down. With this China thing coming in, a lot of AI being put on. Now let's see how US markets react. If at all they think that nahi, China, what he is doing is much better, then there will be huge repercussions because the investment on AI has been very high. So, and I feel if IT index goes down, probably a Nifty will not be able to reach higher. It may form a bottom, but it will not be able to lead the indexes. So considering all these things, just wait for 1 or 2 days. Let this thing settle down of today's US markets. But on the broader terms, on the broader indexes, we are looking good. Whether we were very closely watching rupee, we were very closely watching dollar index, we were watching the bond deals and all those and the earnings. I think these 3, 4 parameters are looking benign. They're looking as if they're settling down, and we're trying to form bottom. This new thing which has come from this DeepSeek, let's see how it settles down. So probably make view tomorrow once again on the indexes. As of now, I'm not trying to give too much views on the index because the fall can be even more brutal in Nasdaq as it is looking in the futures. If at all the China model is right, then we'll see a bigger fall, much bigger fall. And it will not be a 1 day, 2 day fall, it will be a structural fall. You'll see the index going down very slowly and steadily, even 10, 20%. So let's be slightly watchful on this particular front. And of course, we are meeting every day and we'll try to catch up how things are panning out. So this was a whole commentary on today's analysis. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much.